Our next guest has written an inspiring memoir about her experiences as a foster child in a bid to fight for justice for people who have endured neglect and abuse while in state care. Welcome, Netta England. Good morning.
Good morning.
So basically, you got to a point in your life where you suddenly had, not even suddenly, where all these questions had accrued and you needed to find some answers to try and find who you were and your identity. Yeah. Is that why you wrote the book?
Well, that's true. My foster mother had died, my birth mother had died, and then my brother died quite tragically, and then I was the only person left in that family. So I thought, who am I? What can I do? What are the answers to all the questions that I never knew?
And it must be an extraordinary thing to get to that point in your life and have to ask, who am I?
Well, I suppose so, but that was all we knew, you see. So yeah. I embarked myself on this journey. I started with my birth father, and I knew he'd died at a certain time, so I got a copy of his death certificate, and that's how it started.
Tell me, if we just go back to your story, when were you placed in foster care?
I was 6 months old when I was made a state ward.
Okay, and you went into the care of a family who already had a child?
Yes, I was 8 months old when I was placed with them.
Right. What was life like with that family?
Not particularly good. As I grew older, I sensed that the foster mother didn't like me. She made a great fuss about my brother, who was the favourite. They'd had another baby boy who had died, and he had the same name as my brother, so my brother was the replacement for the one that died. But in saying that, I just sort of knew from when I was quite little that she didn't like me or want me.
An awful feeling to
Well,
have.
it was, I tried really hard to get her to like me, and I thought, well, if I did what I was told and I did what everybody else asked me to do, maybe they might like me.
But it wasn't enough.
That didn't work. And as I got older, of course, I talked a lot at school. I was craving the attention that I never got as a child.
Yeah.
So I was trying to find my way, really.
There was abuse within that family, wasn't there? Physical and psychological.
Yes. Well,
what did she do?
Well, she used to put me down all the time, and she made me feel bad about myself. I didn't have good feelings about myself. So, and from when I was about 6 or 7, she started to give me what we call thrashings. And
your brother didn't suffer the same?
No, well, he was an asthmatic, and she never hit him, but she hit me. And of course, there again, I was trying to be good, but I didn't know what I could do to please her. I mean, I was a little child. I just wanted to be loved.
So for her having you, was it why did she want to have you in the first place?
Well, I think they'd had about 5 foster children, and clearly I think they took it for the money.
Right.
Looking back with maturity, I mean, I don't remember foster father ever going to work.
Okay.
He was a war veteran, and he was elderly, and she was elderly, and their house was in a good position in Papatoe, so clearly they had to pay off a mortgage, one may presume. Yeah. They used the welfare money to pay for the mortgage. This is me just presuming.
Yeah, but there was a point where you asked to leave.
Yes, I was about 13, and she just gave me the most awful hiding. I was at high school, and I was really frightened. For the first time in my life, I wrote to the welfare and said, could they move me away? I was really too frightened to say what the problem was. But I remember ending the letter saying, I want to go where someone will love me and take an interest in me. But, the welfare officer came out and saw me at school, but then there was never any follow-up, and she didn't listen to what I was saying. I was covered in bruises, but of course she didn't see the bruises because of my school uniform.
Oh, my goodness.
And I was too scared to say what had happened.
So tell me now about the search for your family.
The search for my family was wonderful. I made contact with my hairdresser, and she put an ad in this paper, and I put my birth father's name in it, and this magazine went all the way around the world. And then I didn't get any reply, and then after about a year, I changed it and I put the name of my grandfather, which I got off the birth certificate. I came home one night and my husband said, there's a message for a guy from Christchurch is ringing up, his name is Mike Harnese. And I thought, wow, absolutely, this was so cool. Well, is this it, you know? So I rang him the next morning. In fact, I write about that in the book because will they like me? How will I handle this?
Again, the acceptance.
What will I do? Because my father had a criminal record, you see, and I thought, well, maybe they won't like me because of what he'd done, whatever it was. And I was terrified, but I had to do it on my own. So I did it. And as I said, I write about it in the book. And then right at the end of the conversation, I said to this guy, do you know someone in the family called Walter Harness? And he said, yes. And I thought, and I said, well, Walter was my father. And he just, you know, it was just really, really incredible. And I put the phone down, and then a few days later I got a letter back from him. Netta, welcome back to your family.
Oh.
That was so cool. And I felt as though I was standing on the top of Mount Everest. I could see the big picture. It was the most wonderful thing that happened in my life, because when I met them, I was on their wavelength.
Ah, and suddenly you knew where you belonged.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And yeah.
So what do you hope that other people will get out of the book?
I hope that they can sort of learn to overcome their difficulties, join the network, and sort of try and turn a negative into a positive. I mean, it's not easy being brought up in foster care, but I can't let that ruin my life. I just have to do you know, make myself a good life.
And you absolutely have, and it's all in the book, and some wonderful photos as well. Thank you, Netta. What
Thank
a great
you very
story.
much. Thank you.
Netta's book, Stolen Lives, is out right now. Head to our website for links.